How to be smart in achieving your fitness goals and sustainable long-term results. I will show you in this video how and what you should do, and maybe you will find yourself where you are at the moment, and it's really a fun representation that will maybe open your eyes and make it easier to move forward and know what your next steps are. So let's dive in. Here I have one representation that I have been inspired by Dr. Jade Teta. This stayed in my mind for such a long time, and I want to just show you this representation, which once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. It's so truthful. So, the most people in their life, they usually go through those four quadrants. So we have couch potato, we have an athlete, we have a serial dieter, and we have European. So let me talk to you about each and every one of those. And you might be finding yourself in one of those in some point of your life. Couch potato is probably, he doesn't expend much energy and eats a lot. Athlete is somebody who eats a lot but also spends a lot of energy, and they look like a really racing car. They have really amazing physique, and they're fueling their body to be able to really be great at what they do. Then you have the European. European is maybe the best representation because they don't eat much, so they don't consume a lot of calories, but they also don't exercise too much. They don't have purposeful exercise as much, but they do walk a lot. Then we have a serial dieter who is always trying to diet down, and they're constantly having a less energy intake and more energy output. So they're kind of in this balance. This is all about what is healthy metabolically and what our bodies actually strive to be. You cannot outsmart your bodies. They will always try to survive, and that's why your maybe dieting hasn't polluted some results that you wanted. Your body wanted to keep you alive. They don't care if you want to have abs or whatever goal you have. So it fought back. So this is the area that the body wants to be. So these two. So if we look at the graph, this is where we have a body in balance. So here we have low expenditure, a low intake. Here we have high intake, high energy expenditure. Couch potato has high intake, low energy expenditure. And serial dieter has the opposite. High energy expenditure, and they have low input. Maybe that makes sense now. So this is energy, and this is, let's say, food. Why we are in this balance here? Because a couch potato, if they eat a lot of food every time and not expend as much, that's not healthy for the body, just as the serial dieter has the opposite problem, and that's also not metabolically healthy. That's why we develop diseases, like some chronic diseases in these two. But when you have a person that is an athlete that eats and exercises both in the same time and aligned, that's where you have really good metabolic health. And if you are on this side where you just have the lower energy intake and you don't really exercise as much, that's also okay. That will be the elderly that cannot really do some strenuous exercises, or people that have an ability to exercise at some point. So they would be okay if they align those two. And where the problem happens? Problem happens if you are always in one of those. This is, the longer you are here, the worse it becomes. What is recommended and what works is, if you're only in these areas only for up to 12 weeks tops, because this is where you have those 12 weeks programs to diet down, which is okay. So you can go from one quadrant to another for a while and then return back. So that would make sense. So if you were working hard and eating hard and you just wanted to cut some fat off at some point, you would maybe do this for 12 weeks. And this is what, if you notice the pattern, this is what bodybuilders do. So if you ever notice, they train hard and they eat properly to fuel those workouts. They build their bodies, the muscles, because muscles need to be able to grow in this area. So if you want to look like an athlete, you have to train and eat like an athlete. Then you can go and be in this area for a while until it doesn't pick up on you and your metabolism doesn't go down, because then you have a problem and all those hormonal problems and all those yo-yo diets, binges, and all those things that are so common today. And on the other hand, if you ever stopped being an athlete and you maybe cannot really train as much and you're not the type, let's say you like more gentle exercise, yoga would be more in this quadrant. This is also in balance. So you would have energy and food maybe lower on the scale, but you would feel good. What that means, you are in check. Like your hunger hormones will be normal. You won't have those crazy spikes because those will be aligned. And of course, this one, we will try also not to be too long in this, because maybe that can happen. That can be like holidays or for some reason not being able to train, and then you start eating. Maybe during COVID, that was like a common thing. We all became couch potatoes. We ate the same out of boredom, and then we didn't really exercise as much and move around. That's the idea, and this is really how you should think about your efforts in life when it comes to dieting and doing anything related to being in balance. So think about where you are in this time of your life. Like, are you an athlete? Are you training and fueling your workouts? Or are you constantly in this phase, which a lot of women are? And I know I can be guilty of this as well. Like, we stay too long in this quadrant because we won't always be lean, but we forget that at one point it bounces back and it's even worse than it would be in athlete. Or maybe you're a European, which I am, and I like to walk a lot, but I also, if it's season of my life where I'm not really hitting weights too much, I will try to have the food really balanced with my energy input. And that kind of keeps you at the same spot. So that's also something advisable. I hope you're not in this quadrant, but it happens, and you just have to kick yourself out of it, and it's in your own hands. You are not the victim of some external circumstances. It's up to you. So if you can really get your ass up and go into this or this, like, it doesn't have to be a lot. If you're going from this, I would really recommend just moving around more. Like in Europeans, we walk a lot. That would be my first way of doing it. Then you can switch to an athlete, do some weights, and fuel your workouts so you build muscle, because if you were couch potato, you probably are not having enough muscles as you would like. And then here and there you would dial down to really show what you have built, and then you would go back to being an athlete or European. So hope this was helpful. Let me know where do you find yourself, and if this was opening your eyes, if this was really something that you will see now easily, how to get back on track and how not to do harm to yourself. If you need more help and more accountability and more support, feel free to contact me. And that's the lesson for today. Hope that was helpful and see you in the next video.